And then al-Jawzi, ikhwan, he mentions, after mentioning those verses, he says, وَفِي الْقُرْآنِ مِنْ هَذَا كَثِيرٌ. Look what he says, ikhwan. And in the Quran, there's much more of this. There is much more like this regarding the warnings from shaitan and the evils of the shaitan, and that he is an avowed enemy to mankind. And now we continue, ikhwan. al-Jawzi said, after mentioning those verses, التحذير من فتن إبليس ومكايده. Again, ikhwan, like we read in the chapter heading, the warning from the fitn, the tribulations of Iblis and his plots, his deceptions. قال Abu Farj, al-Jawzi رحمه الله, he says, ينبغي أن تعلم أن إبليس شغله التلبيس أول ما التبس عليه الأمر فأعرض من النص الصريح على السجود. So listen to what al-Jawzi says, ikhwan. This is fiqh in the religion, ikhwan. He says, it is upon you to know that Iblis is, his entire diligence, his work, and that which he busies himself with is a talbis, is deception. Is deception, to deceive Bani Adam, to deceive the children of Adam. And every turn, as we mentioned in the khutbah of the Eid, ikhwan, he said, I will sit and lay in wait with them upon the straight way. And then I will assault them from before them and from behind them, from their left and from their right, from every direction shaitan said he was going to attack Bani Adam. So shughaluhu ikhwan at-talbis, as Ibn Jawzi says, his work, his due diligence, ikhwan, is in the deceptions of the people. But look what Ibn Jawzi says. أول من التبس عليه الأمر, and he is the first of those who were deceived. He is the first, Allahu Akbar, of those who were deceived as he turned away from a clear text that commanded him to what? To prostrate. He turned away from a clear command in the text to prostrate. فأخذ يفاضل بين الأصول. He began, ikhwan, to try to find superiority in his origin. He's trying to find superiority in his origin. And Ibn Jawzi mentions the verse in the Quran, ikhwan, فَقَالَ خَلَقْتَنِي مِن نَارٍ وَخَلَقْتَهُ مِن طِينٍ. You created me from fire, and you created him from mud, or from sounding clay, as they say. The ulama, ikhwan, have explained, ikhwan, that Iblis was from the first of those who fell into the affair of racism. From the first. Because he deemed his creation superior to another creation. Shaykh al-Fawzan, ikhwan, brings a tremendous explanation of this verse. And he said, and what would make Iblis think that fire was superior to that sounding clay? That sounding clay. And then Shaykh al-Fawzan says, rather fire destroys and burns down. And as for the earth or clay, it brings forth fruits and vegetation and a place of dwelling in the earth. So what made him think that, from his so-called intellect, we say so-called intellect, that he was better because he was created from fire? I wanted to mention something today, ikhwan. As we are watching and witnessing what is going on around us, we need to be careful, ikhwan, and remember that there is no virtue in the Arab over the non-Arab, nor the non-Arab over the Arab, nor the black over the white, nor the white over the black, illa bit-taqwa, except in piety. There is no superiority, Allah yabarik feekum, there is no superiority in the Arab over the non-Arab, nor the non-Arab over the Arab, nor the black over the white, or the white over the black, except with taqwa. So therefore, ikhwan, we are not from those, ikhwan, who fall into these calls of nationalism. We must be very careful. The Messenger of Allah Muhammad informed us, ikhwan, whoever calls to the affairs of Jahiliyyah, addu ala haniyadi, let him bite on his father's private parts. Prophet ikhwan refuted in no uncertain terms, without equivocation, ikhwan, refuted those individuals who were called to nationalism. That is from the way of shaitan. Did we not read the verse, ikhwan, do not follow the footsteps of shaitan? So therefore, ikhwan, we are not those who fall into these affairs of nationalism. And while we understand that there is oppression, and we understand, ikhwan, Allah yabarik feekum, that there is prejudice, we understand it. Prophet ﷺ mentioned that from the affairs it will not leave the ummah. But we know that the answer to all of this is in al-Islam. The answer to all of this is in the Quran and in the Sunnah and in the understanding of the Salaf al-Salih. When that incident happened between Ikhwan Abu Dhar and Bilal, and those noble companions, the two noble companions, Abu Dhar said to Bilal, and Ibn Sawda, son of a black woman, or like this, and the Prophet ﷺ heard this. What did he say, Ikhwan? And Simra'un fik al-Jahiliyyah, you a man who has with you some of the remnants of al-Jahiliyyah. The affairs of al-Jahiliyyah, that type of thing is from al-Jahiliyyah. So the Prophet ﷺ rectified that affair, clarified it, and refuted it, and did not allow it to remain. And mentioned that Ikhwan is from the affairs of the pre-Islamic ignorance, days of ignorance. So therefore, Ikhwan, the answers to all of this is in al-Islam. It is not in slogans. It is not in demonstrations. The answer to this, Ikhwan, Allah yubarik fikum, is in the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and what Allah has said, and what His Messenger said, and the actions of those noble companions of the Messenger of Allah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I bought this today, Ikhwan, this particular book, this book, Racism, by Shaykh Abdus-Salaam Burjis. And this book, Ikhwan, I advise the brothers not only to buy it, but to buy an extra copy to give to a people so that they can see, Ikhwan, that Islam refutes racism in all of its types, in all of its forms. Refutes racism and nationalism, Ikhwan, refutes it and rejects it. And the best of you are those who are most pious, Ikhwan. Allah yubarik fikum. So I wanted to bring this, Ikhwan, as we mentioned this verse, and how Iblis, Ikhwan, was the first, as the ulama have mentioned, the first to call to racism, the first to call to this nationalism or like this, by saying that I am better than him. You created me from fire, and you created him from mud. And then Ibn al-Jawzi, Ikhwan, he continues. ثم أردف ذلك بالاعتراض على الملك الحكيم. And then Iblis went on, Ikhwan, to object to the wise king, meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he mentions, Ikhwan, أرأيتك هذا الذي كرمت عليه. And he said, do you not see the one that you honored above me? In other words, how could you honor this one above me? As Ibn al-Jawzi says, والمعنى أخبرني لما كرمته عليه. In other words, Iblis was saying to Allah, why did you honor this person over me? Look at the arrogance of Iblis, ya Ikhwan, like many people. How could you make him superior to me? So when we read the verse, Ikhwan, do not follow the footsteps of a shaitan, this is part of what we're talking about, Ikhwan. The arrogance of shaitan, the haughtiness of shaitan, that he puffs himself up with pride in this fashion and in this way, to say, as he mentions, أخبرني, inform me, لما كرمته عليه. How did you make him better than me? And then he says, Ikhwan, after this, Ibn al-Jawzi, and غرض ذلك الاعتراض أن الذي فعلته ليس بحكمة. And the reason why, he says here, Ikhwan, the reason why Iblis rejected the command to prostrate to Adam is he was saying, Ikhwan, in this turning away, that what you have done for making him better to me is not from wisdom. That's what Iblis is saying. What you have done for making him better than me and telling me to bow down to him is not from wisdom. I'm better than him. How am I going to bow down to him? So again, Ikhwan, this informs us to what it means when Allah says, do not follow the footsteps of shaitan. Look how this is clarified for us, Ikhwan. This arrogance, this haughtiness. This hardness and arrogance. Allah yubarik fikum. ثم أتبع ذلك بالكبر. Then he followed all of it up, Ikhwan, with arrogance. More arrogance. Arrogance, compounded arrogance. أنا خير منه. He says, I am better than him. Iblis said, I'm better than him. ثم امتنع عن السجود. And then he therefore, Ikhwan, refused to bow down. فأهان نفسه التي أراد تعظيمها باللعنة والعقاب. And then this is a nice point, Ikhwan, Ibn al-Jawzi, he says that Iblis disgraced himself even though he wanted and intended to magnify himself. So that he intended to make himself mighty and great, but in doing so, what did he do? He disgraced himself and belittled himself, made himself small. Right? He did the opposite of what he intended to do by refusing to bow down, bringing about upon himself al-la'na, the curse of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wal-iqab, and a punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ibn al-Jawzi, Ikhwan, he mentions after this, فَمَتَ سَوَّلَ